All right, so I want to talk about a very sensitive topic that I really don't think should be that sensitive. And I think that there's so much emotion and so much trauma, spiritual damage, hate, negativity in this topic. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we haven't even defined it as a society. And I think that some of that is done in bad conscience from powers that be that don't want it to be defined because it is a beautiful mechanism of destruction. And by beautiful, I mean ugly. The ugliest mechanism of destruction is separatism, division. And it's easy when we can use race, the color of your skin, as this blaming mechanism, as this separatism mechanism. Well, you're different than me in this way and that way, and color of your skin. So let's talk about racism. And keep in mind, I'm coming at this conversation fully with love, 100% love. So let's start with what is racism, perhaps. Actually, let's just start with, we'll get to that. What is racism? Because I think we need to define what is racism in order for the problem of racism to cease. You know, we need to know what is actually racist. Otherwise, we're calling everything racist, and it's not necessarily done with nefarious intentions, right? And so, but let's just start with the most important point in all of this, the most important point potentially of humanity that I could make at this juncture of time. Think about how self-destructive, I don't want to use the word dumb, but because I've stopped using the word stupid and dumb. But if I can only use it for one more time, I would use it in this way. I would use it in the sense that I think this is the last time I want to use the word stupid. So this will be the last time I use the word stupid to call a group of people. It is the stupidest thing to be racist. And let me explain why. You are a human being. I am a human being. Whether you believe in God or evolution, you surely believe in the fact that 1,000 years ago, there was something, life, earth, other humans. Then you go back even further, 5,000 years ago, humans. Humans, you and I, not the grass, not the birds, not the trees. Humans, 5,000 years ago, whatever the number is, 10,000 years ago, guess what? You came from those humans. Guess what else? They all looked alike, pretty much. There wasn't a difference between the colors of their skin. We all came from the same place. So to see another human who is you in just a different form and decide because they look different that they are worse than you solely based on how they look is stupid. That's the last time I would call a group of people stupid or an individual stupid. It's the epitome of ignorance. Your ancestors, we all came from the same place. That doesn't, and I know everyone likes to herald their own culture. Everyone likes to be like, well, but my culture is so special and great. And guess what? It is. It is so special and so great. Your culture is an incredible thing. Your cultural practices are an incredible thing. And your The way your skin looks is a beautiful and incredible thing. The way my skin looks is a beautiful, incredible thing. The way any other human being's skin looks is a beautiful and incredible thing. And so, when you can understand that there is great beauty in these differences that have matured and evolved over time, and you can also understand the fact that we came from the same place, then these differences in skin start to be exactly this beauty that I'm speaking of. How amazing is it that 10,000 years ago we could have had a common ancestor, yet now you look like that and I look like this? How amazing is that? How beautiful is that? How incredible is that? That's one of the most incredible things I can think of. Yet we've decided for it to be one of the worst things. Again, we came from the same place. So if you're if you're bad and wrong because you look different than me, then I'm also bad and wrong, right? So it is. It is the epitome of ignorance and stupidity to be a racist person. There is no reason to be racist because it is just hating yourself. It's so stupid. So what is racism? I don't really know. I don't have the answer to that. But what I think it is, and I think we should try to figure out what it is, I think that it's probably the hatred of another group of people that look different than you'd look, right? Or maybe you could also have hatred towards your own group of people based on how they look. And so I think like real racism is obviously like the horrific acts like that we do. And choosing to hate is also an act, a horrific act. So obviously if, I'm a white person and I beat someone up because they're Asian or black or Hispanic, that is racism. That is horrible, right? If I choose to hate another group of people because they are black or they are brown or whatever, that is also racism. But I think where we get mixed up is where, like, if I see a group of Hispanic people and I think to myself, well, they're Hispanic, so maybe they take a siesta. Like I'm in Spain too, and I see them and I can tell that they're Hispanic, and I think, well, it's about lunchtime and I know they take the fiestas or the naps around this time. And so I'm just like kind of making these assumptions and these stereotypes. Like, to me personally, there's nothing really hateful going on there. There's no like action or mechanism of hate. But if I were having a conversation with someone and I said that exactly what I just said, well, they are Hispanic and it's 1 p.m. so they might be taking a nap. And then someone I'm with says, well, that's racist. Well, now you can see why we've got all these problems. Because we haven't really pinpointed or the definition. See, when you define things, you can actually achieve things more easily and achieve goals more easily. If I tell myself I want to be 185 pounds by the end of, by the end of next summer, then I have a clear defined definition. I hop on the scale, I weigh myself, I measure myself, I do exercises, I figure things out, and then I can go from there. If we have no idea what racism is, we can throw it around left and right, and it is one of the most horrific things in existence because in existence because it is one of the most ignorant and stupid things in existence. So if we're willy-nilly, oh, they're racist, they're racist, they're racist, he's racist, they're racist, they're racist. Well, it creates a huge, huge collective mess spiritually. And it's a huge problem today. And so there's two problems happening right now. I hope you can see the two problems. There's one problem where the epitome of ignorance is being racist. But also, we need to define racism and we need to figure out what it is so we can properly point it out. And then also stop pointing it out when it's not there. Because some racist people just are racist because they hate the fact that you're just pointing it out and calling them racist. So this is a very common thing that you see in politics, Democrats, Republicans, is that there's like two problems, and instead of like clearly defining what the two problems are and figuring out how we can clearly think about them, like I just hopefully laid out, it's all muddled into one, and it's all it becomes like a hopeless mess. And then you have people killing themselves and shooting schools up and doing horrific things because nobody knows what anyone's deal is other than the fact that they hate the other side. So, if you are a racist person, first of all, you might not even be a racist person. You might call yourself racist, but just by, in my opinion, like, again, I'll give you another example. If I, you know, I mean, there's this, again, a sensitive topic, and I don't want to, guy looked like Bernie Sanders. See, okay, there's another, that's a perfect example. He looked like Bernie Sanders. Okay, let's say he looked like someone who was black, and I said he looked like Michael Jordan. But then let's say he was white, or let's say he was Mexican or something, and then someone says, well, that's racist. Well, what are my intentions behind what I just said? There's no hate there. And so I think we need to be very careful and also clear, and also acknowledge on the side of, if you're choosing to be hateful and racist, you need to, I think what people, if I can speak for different races for a second. First of all, I am Jewish, which is considered a race. I'm half Jewish. I'm not just white. But like when I took my DNA test, it said Ashkenazi Jew, so 36%. So that is, depending on how you look at it, a form of a race. But if I can speak for maybe more colored looking people for a second, just I feel like what they would like is some acknowledgement of the hardship that they face being a different color. And there is hardship there. So we do need to acknowledge that. Like, that's also a part of the solution. Like, you can't just say that, like, there isn't any hardship there. But it's also not something to obsess about and to talk about ad nauseum, because, like, there's also hardship if I get my leg cut off. But if I allow that to define my life, then I'm never gonna walk forward. There's so much love. I hope this is a very sensitive topic. There's so much love in my heart. And I don't want to step on anyone's toes. But I do feel this is huge. It's such a huge problem, and we just have to talk about it. We just have to talk about it. And we have to talk about it in terms that make sense, in terms that are logical, in terms that are easy for us to parse apart and look at, like what's actually going on here. And so let's zoom out again. What is racism? Let's figure it out. Let's talk about it. Let's just come up with something that most people can agree on. And then let's just use that. And then let's realize also how dumb racism is. Oh, you're bad or dumb because you're my ancestor from 10,000 years ago, but your skin developed in a different color. Cool story, bro. It's really one of the poorest conclusions one can possibly make. So, hello.
Hey guys.
Hey. Hello. So I just really invite people from both sides of the coin here. And then we've obviously defined, well, if you're racist, you're probably a Republican, and if you're not racist and you're compassionate, then you're probably a Democrat. That's nonsense too. So let's get rid of all that, because there's people who are racist on both sides. I've seen it firsthand. So let's figure out what racism is. Is it, I don't know. Is it stereotyping, or saying like okay, there is certain things that certain skin colors, demographics do. Like, so like black people play basketball more, and they eat watermelon more. Like, is that racist? I don't know. Is that racist? To me, that seems more like an observation, personally. And who knows if it's even true? Like, do Asians eat more rice and noodles than white people? To me, that again just seems like an observation. There doesn't seem like much hate behind that. Okay. So I think racism is defined as hatred. And so when we can define things, see how much lighter that feels? See how much clearer that feels? See how much easier that feels? And then we can also realize how dumb it is to be in a state of racism. Again, you want peace of mind. Again, how do you get peace of mind? Acting through love, not hate, not hate. Hate does not get you peace of mind. So there's so many reasons in which being a hateful, racist person is disadvantageous. You're basically hating yourself from 10,000 years ago. You're basically hating, you're basically hating yourself because you're viewing someone in a negative light when we are all connected in this divine matrix of life, and you're choosing to see separatism everywhere. Different. That causes pain. That causes unease. That causes distress. Those are nothing anyone wants. So there's so many reasons not to be a hateful, racist person. So I hope that we can continue this conversation. I'd love to hear what everyone else thinks about this. And yeah, I would genuinely love to hear what people think about this. Like, am I way off? Am I onto something? I truly believe that I'm onto something, at least with the fact that we need to define what it is. Otherwise, we're just boom, 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 boom. And I know for a fact that I'm onto something with the fact that we all came from the same place. We all used to look alike. So, I love you so much. Have an amazing rest of your day.